Oh, I was gonna say ladies and gentlemen, but where are the ladies and gentlemen? Hold up. This work? Ah, okay, we're fixing it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new arc of Higurashi. Sorry the last couple episodes, or I don't even know if it was the last couple. The climax had low volume. You know, it's not the first time that happened. Watanabe climax, or was it Watanabe? It was one of the Dashis. Had like too high volume or something. Yeah, volume stuffed here. I'm just bringing it back to my stuffed roots. Hopefully it's higher now. Um, it's definitely higher than I usually listen to. So, but yeah, we are starting the next arc. We finished the what's it called? Summit Sushi arc. We're on the Kageboushi. Then I believe we go to this one or this one. I think it's this one. So that's a whole ass person we've never seen before. I don't know. We definitely do this one next because this is the next Natsume arc with hopefully the fact that she's smiling, and this one she's just vibing. Happier times. Apparently, I think they implied Owishi's gonna be in this arc, which is pretty exciting. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy. Let's just see how this goes then. Kageboushi. Spinning Shadows. This chapter is the answer arc for Somatsushi. It can be read after completing Mayatashi. Atasaka travels to Takuchi City to investigate the mysteries of Hinamizawa along with Oishi and Tomoe. His investigation leads him to Natsume Kimiyoshi. Okay, so not even just Oishi, it's a Atasaka. Oh, they did imply that two detectives are coming, and for some reason my brain just was like, oh, it's definitely Oishi and Kumagai, but I guess Atasaka makes a lot more sense, right? Okay, cool. It's always nice to have Atasaka around. Wednesday, July 6th, 1983, Kakuchi City. Sometime during the first 2 weeks of July, Oishi-san and I accompanied a team of local detectives into a residential area. It was in Kakuchi, a commuter town adjacent to a larger metropolitan area in the Chubu region. The area featured a flourishing transportation network, including an airport built on the city's outskirts. All of this, coupled with the rapidly growing population, has made this town fairly well known. Tomoe. She back. The car slowed to a standstill beside an alley. The driver, Chief Inspector Tomoe Minai, a local police detective, pointed to a house visible through the windshield. It was your typical run-of-the-mill single-family home, the kind you'd be able to find anywhere, so much so that it looked no different than any of the neighboring houses on the same street. However, despite its average appearance, there was something that set it apart. The "Do Not Enter" tape covering the entryway gave the house an unsettling, ominous atmosphere. Man, it's been a while since we heard Oishi. We've heard him, though, during this arc, right? Probably, like, in the first arc. Maybe in the second. Yeah. First time gonna hear Atasaka-san, though, for the first time. Still haven't heard Tatano, by the way. Haha. Copium one day. Sitting in the back seat, Oishi-san and I nodded to each other before exiting the car through our respective doors. The moment I stepped outside, it was as if I'd been engulfed by the sweltering heat, and I could feel my skin burning while my body almost instantly began to sweat. The blazing sun and the shrill cry of the cicadas, assaulted my senses. Despite arriving before noon, the air was hot and stagnant. I didn't even feel a breeze. Feeling uncomfortable, I held back I held the back of my hand to my forehead to wipe away the sweat. The sunlight reflecting off the asphalt was dazzling, and before I knew it, I felt a wave of dizziness.
暑いですね。
でもいいお天気ですよ。どこかへお出かけするには絶好の日和じゃないですか。
After saying that, Oishi-san squared his shoulders and tilted his chin up to admire the sky. He was right. The sky was a deep blue, with nary a cloud in sight. On a day as clear and bright as this, you surely have a good time no matter where you went. What the? Tiny. What's her name? Shit. Oh, that's gonna bud me. We just saw her a couple hours ago. Starts with an M, I think. That's gonna bud me. Shit. I gotta Google it. I'm gonna be embarrassed as soon as I say Higurashi Akasaka. Mamoru. Okay, last chance. What's his name? Miyuki. I didn't remember. I saw it. It did start with an M. Man, Tiny Miyuki is weird since we saw her adult form for like so long in the third arc. For a moment, I thought of Miyuki's bright smile. Now that I think about it, it's been a week since I arrived in this town. I left her in the care of my in-laws due to this job, so I'm guessing Yuki's dead. So I haven't been able to be a good father and look after her in a while.
すまんな、みゆき。
While mentally apologizing to my daughter, I took a deep breath.
見ない警部。家の中には入れない。
This is Anatommy's house. I think it looked a little different. Maybe it is. I thought there's like a bigger tree here. Because last time I remember Natsumi's house, it was like a tree and there's a bunch of shit hanging. Unless it's like doing the show you the future first.
はい。上に許可も取って鍵を預かっていますので。
And you're like, Aiden, isn't this just after the last arc? Nope, because Oishi was already dead
あ、そうだ。
in the last arc. It seemed Chief Inspector Manai remembered something while answering my question. She quickly went back to the car and turned on the police scanner. With the receiver in hand, she sent out a transmission.
こちら一課次長、見ない。先日の事件現場に到着しましたので、これより現場検証に向かいます。どうぞ。
柿内 PS より未来次長へ。了解した。鑑識の捜査は終了しているが、可能な限り現状維持を保つように。必要なら藤田刑事が誰かお手伝いに向かわせるが。どうぞ。
So Fujita's not even here.
そうですね。現時点では必要なし。1時間ほどで車に戻りますので、例の件について進展があれば、その時。
Wonder. I guess it wouldn't really make sense if Oishi and Akasaka are there officially.
どうぞ。
了解した。
They're probably off the clock.
どうぞごゆっくり。
通信終わります。
Or maybe not, I don't know. After that brief exchange, Chief Inspector Manai ended the call. Then as she hung the receiver, she seemed to quietly grumble, "Take all the time you need," while shutting the door on the driver's side.
何か
No fu-fu-fu-me.
相変わらず豆ですね。ちゃんと上司さんに伝えてきたんだし、いちいち連絡なんかしなくても大丈夫じゃないですか？
いえ、これも規則ですから。それに、公務で外に出た時は、万一のことがあった時に備えて、活動内容を逐一報告しておくことが刑事の義務です。
Fair enough. Chief Inspector Manai responded honestly with a straight face. It was truly an exemplary response, almost as if she had read it straight out of a textbook. She's not wrong, though. Like she said, it's necessary for detectives to keep their coworkers well informed about their present whereabouts and activities in case something comes up. That's why I said true. Or I said fair enough. Because it's true. This serves as our starting point during an investigation, allowing us to reveal the culprit. Moreover, disclosing our activities to provide evidence in our defense against accusations of corruption or injustice. Still, it seems like overkill to report on an investigation in a deserted residential area with hardly anyone in sight. The staff back at the station probably had a bitter smile on their faces when they said, "Take all the time you need." This woman was quite different from Oishi-san.
いやー、それにしても暑いですね。ともいちゃんもそのジャケット脱いじゃったらどうですか？
お気遣いどうも。でも私、割と暑いのは平気ですから。
Plus, it looked sexy. Or at least cool. Sexy and cool.
本当です。
Sure enough, Chief Inspector Minai had a cool, composed look on her face, whereas the rest of us were wiping the sweat from her brows. Seemed reasonable to think she could handle this.
まあ、天気が良すぎるのも考えものですね。喉が渇いて仕方がない。お？
どうぞ。これでよけれ
Ooh,
ば。
thank you. Chief Inspector Minai suddenly opened a cooler in the trunk and began passing out cans of coffee one by one. Love me some cold coffee. There should be oh man, there should be more cold coffee available in Canada. There is, but I'm just saying if you buy it at a grocery store, it's expensive though as fuck. And obviously there are some stores that sell Japanese brand ones, but they're also expensive as fuck. Like, where's the $1 cans? Bring back the $1 cans. Fuck inflation. But yeah, anyways. I drank it immediately, feeling a comforting chill running down my throat.
いやー、生き返った。ともいちゃん、気が利きますね。
こういう暑い日は自販機を探すのも面倒ですから。
And give us fucking vending machines. Why doesn't every, like, I shouldn't say every country without sounding bad, but why doesn't every country have vending machines, dude? High quality vending machines, not the fucking the different brands of Coca-Cola, or I should say Coca-Cola brand pops. Give me fucking cold coffee, some unique shit, some vitamin juice. I don't need fucking Coke, Diet Coke, uh, Canada Dry Ginger Ale. I think Sprite's part of the Coke brand. Fuck that shit. Okay, I'm sorry. That's my hot takes. Hot takes. Hopefully they're cold. Detective and I responded while collecting our empty cans and tossed them into the waste bin inside the car. Even so, her expressions felt stiff since departure and she seems to be in a bad mood. Did something happen?
何か？
She's the one who asks.
ああ、いえ。こんないい天気の日に現場検証ってのは気がめいりますね。
True, it's too hot. Let's just go home, man. Fuck this.
そうですね。こういう
That,
天気の時は夜もきつくなりますので、それも
the
嫌な
crime
話
can
です。
wait.
服に染みつかなければいいんですが。
そんなに匂いますかね。どれどれ。
Huh? Exposed? You know she doesn't shower? Oh, she suddenly just moved his face near Chief Inspector Minai's chest? And she jumped in surprise. Really? You're smelling her chest? Then as soon as she saw Ushi-san's smart smile, she came to her senses, shaking her fists and shouting towards the sky. This is sexual harassment.
大衆を気にしてるみたいだからちょっと調べてあげようかと思いましてね。
Smoothest pickup line, honestly. This is what you should do, boys. It'll work.
全然匂ってませんから。
そったこと言ってね。
It's a compliment.
私の匂いじゃなく事件現場が匂うって意味で言ってるんじゃねえですが。
Chief Inspector Minai shot Oishi-san an offended glare, which he let out his usual bombastic laugh that shook his oversized stomach. Oishi-san's words and actions can be rather shocking and appalling, huh? Huh? Kind of think of it, that accent Chief Inspector Minai spoke in earlier, I'm certain it was exposed? As soon as Chief Inspector Minai's eyes meet mine, her face began to blush and she cleared her throat, attempting to stay cool. I quickly asked her a question.
南井警部、出身は茨城ですか？
東
Oh,
京です。
exposed.
でも祖母と母が水戸でしたから、その
Chief Inspector Minai spoke in a hushed tone, clearly embarrassed, but she looked slightly perturbed, tilting her head as she looked at me.
赤坂警視、どうして私の出身の茨城だと？
Accent.
いや、実は親戚が日本に住んでいましたので。すみません。ちょっと懐かしくて。
あ、そうでしたか。私、いえ、自分は去年まで勤務が茨城だったので、祖母の口調が移っちゃって、その。
まあ普段はうまく隠してるんですけどね。ちょっといじってあげるだけですぐにこの通り。な。
大石さん、殴っていいですか？
The veins in Chief Inspector Minai's temple throbbed as Oishi-san said, "Oh, how scary. Their relationship seems to have been turned upside down." That reminds me, Oishi-san told me about her father the other day. Chief Inspector Minai didn't just move from Tokyo to Ibaraki due to a family circumstances. She had a deeper, more depressing reason for moving, and she had no choice.
本当は決して笑い話じゃなかった。
In an effort to change the subject, I stepped between Chief Inspector Minai and Oishi-san and asked a question.
つまり、夏場の殺しの事件現場は現場検証が
Back on topic, I guess.
確かに冬場と比べても暑さともろもろで気分が悪くなりますし、そういう。
あ、はい、そうです。おかげでこの前の事件直後は部下の捜査員たちが近場の路地でゲーゲー吐いて
Jesus.
後始末が
I didn't mean to cut you off.
翌日3人も体調不良でお休みになったって。
I mean, it doesn't make sense, especially if there's a body. Hot summer days would definitely not help it preserve.
ともいちゃんはよく平気でしたね。
私も決して気分が良かったわけじゃありません。だけど管理職が仕事放り出して休むなんて部下に示しがつきませんから。食欲はさすがにありませんでしたけどね。
I mean, now that's a big statement because we know she has a bottomless pit, man. Burger muncher. For no, food lover such as herself to say that means it must have been quite unpleasant. Yep.
わかりますよ。私も若い頃は現場検証の後、料理の何を見てもいろんな想像をしてしまって、数日間何も口にできませんでしたね。自己管理がなっていないと上司によく叱られたものです。
えそんなケースこそ想像できませんよ。
After saying that, Chief Inspector Minai laughed while holding a hand to her mouth. Of course, her reaction seemed somewhat weak, as if she was distracted and focused on something other than some other thought was running through her head. Was there some concern that she wasn't willing to share with us?
あ、すみません警視。つい調子に乗って失礼な物言いを。
いや、別に気にしないでください。むしろ私はあまり肩肘を張って話される方が苦手でしてね。同じ桜の大門を背負う仲間として普通に接していただけたら嬉しいです。
そうですか？
そうですよ、ともえちゃん。赤坂さんには私と同じように心も体も許す感じで接してくれたらいいんですからね。
Okay. It's kind of weird, Higurashi.
あんたにその両方とも許した覚えは断じてない。
なはははは。
Oishi-san, I hope you don't make fun of her too much.
まあ、犯罪者を追って完全懲悪の範を示すことに違いはないってことですよ。ですから捜査のためにご協力をお願いします。
あ、はい。こちらこそよろしくご指導お願いします。
The difference between the two is so funny. Her reaction to Oishi and her reaction to Atasata.
自分は公安の方とご一緒に仕事をするのが初
I
めて
guess Atasata
いろい
is
ろご迷惑をおかけ
a
するかもし
higher
れ
rank.
ませんが、勉強不足で申し訳ありません警視。
いやいや、そんなことはありませんよ。私は所轄の方々に比べればこういう凶悪事件の現場経験は大したことはありませんので、若輩者で勉強不足なのは警備よりもむしろ私の方ですよ。
そんなご謙遜を。自分は学も知識も浅い上、偉そうに言えるほど現場を知っているわけではありませんので、警視にそう言われると重はゆい限りです。
たくさん経験したところで慣れるものではありませんし、偉いというわけでもありませんよ。ものになるのかならないのかは本人の資質というやつですからね。
恐縮です。
Even so, I expect no less from a woman who was selected as the future executive by the Metropolitan Police. Chief Inspector Manai was the kind of person who would go to any crime scene if they asked her to. Even if her subordinates turned away feeling sick, she would rush in searching for clues. On top of that, she speaks frankly and has a humble personality. I get the feeling she's a little too serious though, but I understand why Oishi-san thinks so highly of her.
とりあえずまだ昼前で本格的には暑くなっていませんから、なるべく早めに済ませましょう。
そうですね。それじゃ行きましょうか。
Then we all turned to face that single family home. A barrier of yellow tape was stretched all around the outer wall. The house itself looked peaceful in comparison, masking the fact that it was actually the scene of a crime. A family of 4 had been living happily in this house. This is a bait. It's actually not Natsumi. They're just baiting us by saying family of 4. A father in the prime of his career and a working mother. Mother wasn't working. And 2 lovely kids. Oh, this might be the other family, though. The old dude. It was a typical family like you find anywhere. That's why I still can't believe the tragedy that happened in this house a few days ago. Something felt off on one corner of the house and I turned to face it. Before my eyes, I saw countless pieces of paper attached to the wall, talismans with strange writing on them. Looking closely, I could see eerie curse-like words written lightly in red ink. I reached out to touch one of them, but a sudden breeze struck one of them and it fell to the ground. At the same time, I noticed the name Hatakeyama. Dude, I called it. I'm so smart. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't a lot of selection. It could just be someone we don't know, but I thought it might be Hatakeyama. So they did describe the. I didn't remember the number of children, but it sounded like their family around. Into the night play, yeah, we said that.
ひなみ沢の御三家と違って、ただ
It's just a
出
guy.
身がひなみ沢というだけの普通の家族です。それに例の事件の直後でしたから接触を控えていたのですが。
So this is accelerated, but I don't know. We'll see. Is Natsumi going crazy already, or is things just happening differently?
すみません。裏目に出ました。
After saying that, Chief Inspector Manai hung her head. The rest of us did the same. There's no denying that we made a flawed assumption. The family here was involved in that other tragedy, so we assumed that another incident couldn't happen to the same family. Huh? Other tragedy, as in the old man? I don't assume they mean the disaster, because they're researching people because of the disaster and the strange deaths. Just then, out of nowhere, I heard the sound of ringing bells. I stopped without thinking and looked around. Hanyu's jingling? Trolling? There it is again. A peculiar sound that didn't belong. It sounded vaguely similar to a cat's bell, but clearly different. As if it sounded like someone's footsteps.
おや
What the? We're infected?
どうかしましたか？
いえ。大石さん、何か音が聞こえませんか？
音ですか。
In response to my inquiry, Oishi-san cautiously surveyed his surroundings. However, he couldn't see anything suspicious, so he turned back to me and shook his head.
何も聞こえませんが。ともいちゃんはどうです？
私も特には。どんな音でしたか？
いや、すみません。気のせいかもしれません。
I must have misheard. I'm a little tired. In order to escape from their gaze, I turned behind me and looked toward the small field outside. I could see some vegetables planted nearby, but they all looked withered. Were they dead? I couldn't sense any life from them. And with all the houses lined up nearby, the presence of a small field like this was rather strange.
あの畑、税金対策ですよ。
Thumbnail me. What the heck? Those are some massive fruits. Or vegetables. They're on a vine. Are those tomatoes? Why are they so big? Why does Oishi look kind of stuffed? Everyone else is normal and Oishi's looking kind of dollar store.
農地だと不動産にかかる税金が安くて済みますからね。
Oh, gaming the system. Did she notice my strange expression? Chief Inspector Manai stepped beside me as she said that.
税金対策？
ええ。この辺りは地価が数年前と比べて格段に高騰しているんです。それに加えて、再来年には地下鉄の駅がこの近くに開通しますので、完全な売り手市場。だから、あの土地の持ち主はそれまで農地として節税しているんだって聞きました。
あの野菜はどうするんでしょう？
近所の人の話だと、好き勝手に取り放題だそうです。
Oh.
それでも余った分は秋頃になったらすべて焼き捨てているみたいですね。
Such a lonely story. The land was no longer able to serve its original function and only existed to generate wealth. Classic. That's called civilization, baby. Or just, I mean, yeah, just civilization in general. This must be another consequence of the recent economic boom.
それにしても嫌に静かですね。 まるで廃墟の町ですよ。
ここは新興のベッドタウンですから、昼間は人が少なくなります。商店街もちょっと離れていますからね。とはいえ、普段なら主婦の方々が道端とか近くの公園とかで話し込んだりしているのですが。
さすがに今はか。
Chief Inspector Manai silently nodded to Owishi-san's mutterings. Indeed, not a lot of time had passed since the incident occurred. Given the circumstances, it was hard to believe that people could be engaging in feckless idle gossip. Excuse me, what is feckless? Never heard of that word in my life. Feckless, a lacking initiative or strength of character. Otherwise known as irresponsible. A feckless mama's boy. Damn.
それにしても都会の建物はやはりおしゃれな作りをしていますね。赤坂さんのお宅もこんな感じですか？
いいえ、私の住まいはもっと都心寄りの古くからの住宅街ですから、こんなに小綺麗な建物はないですよ。
But even though it was a beautiful cityscape, I didn't envy it at all. Everything was sunbaked and cracked. It felt inorganic, colorless, and tasteless.
自分はこういう街にはあまり住みたくないですね。
I'm really hating on it, man.
誰かと一緒に暮らすなら。
There are, like, I know, at least heard from my dad, some places in, like, cities in Japan do struggle with, not having enough parks and stuff, so it is, like, not a lot of green at all. That's why people plant a lot more trees or something. Or something like that.
失礼でした。忘れてください。
What the? I didn't even really catch that. Cute. Chief Inspector Manai blushed and then cleared her throat. After seeing her smile, Oishi-san sat down on the end of a cigarette, then crushed it under his shoe as he looked back toward me and spoke.
さて、それじゃあ行きましょう。ともいちゃん、お願いできますか？
さっきから気になってたんですけど、いい加減私のことはちゃんと見ないって上の名字で呼んでくれませんか？
ん？気に入りませんか？
好き嫌いの話じゃないです。子供じゃあるまいし、公務の時くらいはきっちり節度を守ってください。周りに示しがつかないでしょうが。
でもそれだと今度は妹さんと区別になっちゃうじゃないですか？
つきます。双子じゃないし顔だって似てないでしょうが。だいたい同じ見ないでもあっちは巡査で私は警部なんだから、そんなに区別って言うならちゃんと見ない警部って呼んでください。
It's too long.
しかしですね、私は親しい人には肩書きなしでフレンドリーに呼びかけるのがポリシーなんですよ。ねえ、赤坂さん。
Atazata is he's just bystanding, trying not to make it explode. I vaguely laughed, trying to evade answering. It would be nice if Oishi-san called me Inspector Atazata once in a while.
というわけなので、少し多めに見てくださいな、ともいちゃん。
もういいです。さっさと入ってください。
Not wanting to waste any more time on the matter, Chief Inspector Manai lowered her shoulder and lifted the tape to slip underneath. She gave Oishi-san and I a nod after passing through, so we slipped under and stepped in front of the house. By all rights, entering a crime scene in a region outside my jurisdiction is a major overreach of authority. However, I was able to get special permission to enter this house today thanks to my title as a public security official, and also because this woman was an acquaintance of Oishi-san, actually the older sister of his acquaintance.
すみませんね、警部。大石さんも 悪気があるわけじゃないんです。むしろ
分かっています。別に自分は怒っていませんので。
After saying that, Chief Inspector Manai stepped beyond the tape, devoid of the emotional atmosphere that was present a moment ago, and I followed behind her. Despite what she said, I could feel the anger permeating through her back, and it made me restless. I have to keep an eye on Oishi-san in the future. Surely it'll help. Russell? I felt something near my feet, so I took a quick glance and I stepped on another sheet of paper. The black, dirty, poisonous color gave an unpleasant impression. What is this?
どうしました、警視？
あ、いや。
Chief Inspector Manai looked back. She must have noticed my abrupt stop. The moment I turned to respond, that bizarre sound echoed in my ears again. For a moment, I completely forgot about the summer heat as a frightening chill ran down my back and coursed through my entire body. Was that really just a hallucination? Or maybe I'm possessed by Yashiro-sama that all the villagers in Himizawa are so afraid of? True.
まさか。
You're Yashiro pilled. It's too late for you, brother. I shook my head with a bitter smile to dispel my concerns about these delusions. Then I began to step forward until I caught up with Oishi-san. First, we put the investigation gloves that the Chief Inspector Manai handed to us. Then, I followed behind Oishi-san as he opened the door and stepped into the entrance. It was incredibly quiet inside the house, and a distinct odor reached my nose. The odor reminded me of rusty nails, and it grew stronger as I stepped forward. Oof. I quickly slid the door open. In that room, I saw a literal sea of blood.
この部屋が犯行現場ですか？
ええ。実際に自分の目で見ると悲惨さが一層伝わってきますね。
Traces of the incident were marked by the investigators. Destroyed furniture, scratch marks in the tatami mat, all of which told the horrors of this tragedy. And most importantly, the dark red stains spread across the tatami mats highlighted the place where the corpses of the inhabitants were found. After seeing that incident itself, the markings made by the forensic team seemed meaningless. This is the image of hell itself. For a while, the three of us could only stand silently beside the crime scene. Intending to clear my mind, I turned my attention to the report that Chief Inspector Manai gave me. The victims were the homeowners, Masao Hatateyama and his wife Yoshiko. According to the initial investigation team, Masao shot himself in the head from close range with a hunting rifle and died instantly. And the direct cause of death for Yoshiko was blood loss from a close-range gunshot shot to her chest. Although she didn't die instantly, the hospital eventually confirmed her death to be due to the excessive bleeding. And the two children were...
ひどいものです。
Chief Inspector Manai grimaced as she muttered those words, attempting to dispel the heavy atmosphere. Those words perfectly characterized I can't speak, our impressions. 3 years ago, Masao's work transferred him to this location, which caused the 4 members of Hatateyama family to move here from Hinamizawa. It's horrific for an attack like this to happen in such an ordinary household. The suspect, Masao Hatateyama, went on a rampage and in the middle of the night, making strange sounds, swinging his hunting rifle and firing. Swinging? What the? First he went for those closest to him, who didn't have time to defend themselves from his sudden actions. Next was Yoshiko, who was frozen in terror from the unexpected nightmare. I thought there's a slicing sound when they die. Footprints were gradually left around the room where the culprit walked through the red floor. Though his whole body was bathed in blood, I wonder if he continues seeking bloodshed.
鑑識の話では県警全域の記録でもこれだけの事件は近年稀だそうです。しかも被疑者は捜査員が突入する前に自殺。おかげで原因も詳細も一切が不明のまま。
お子さん2人のうち1人は銃撃を逃れて病院に運び込まれたと聞きましたが。
ええ、病院からの連絡では峠を越して今朝意識を回復したそうです。ただ家族が全員死んでたった一人だけ生き残って、彼女は今後どうするのか。
After saying that, Chief Inspector Manai bit her lip with a crestfallen look on her face. Should we be pleased with the fortune that someone survived? Or should we mourn the misfortune that they could not die together? Unrelated parties like us have nowhere to answer. Okay, so one lived, yeah. This incident feels like... That's right, like some sort of religious ceremony, perhaps? Or a ritual to cleanse impurities. It was a gruesome possibility, just as the name Blood Offering implied. Suddenly, the strange talisman I saw by the front door came to mind. If this was a ceremony, then they were all human sacrifices? I shook my head and looked upward to escape my terrible thoughts, and where I turned to look, I saw a shrine seated on a shelf that seemed to be looking down at me.
これは
そうですね。祀られているのはお社様ですな。
Sensing my intention, Oishi-san looked at me in the eyes and nodded.
近所の人の証言だと、何でも祖父のカズマは熱心な信奉者だったとか。悪さをした近所の子供たちに注意するときにも必ずその名前が出ていたようです。
お社様の罰が当たるか。
私も最初はよくあるお年寄りの例え話だと思っていました。でも例の事件と翌日に起こったこの事件を知ってからはあ、すみません。こちらも事前に危うい情報をつかんでおきながら結局。
Chief Inspector Manai bit down on her nails to ease her regret. In an effort to console her, Oishi-san shrugged his shoulders, then lightly patted her on the shoulder.
お気遣いなく。これでまだ終わったわけじゃないんですから。ね、赤坂さん。
Oishi-san slowly turned to face me while saying that. I slowly nodded in agreement.
畠山一馬は確か無役の一般村民という話でしたよね。
ひなみ沢の御三家、特に園崎家と比べれば大した仕事をやっていたわけじゃありません。それでもよく調べてみましたら、数年前に体調を崩すまで年寄り連中の末席で議事に加わっていたみたいですよ。
であればその信心の強さもうなずけますね。
So that did happen, I think. I vividly recall my memories of 5 years ago. A remote village deep within the mountains, Hinamizawa. I visited the village once while investigating a kidnapping incident on behalf of Tokyo. Unfortunately, the curtain was closed midway, so the truth of that incident remains a mystery. However, the state of the village and the village's fervent fear of Oyasho-sama's curse were engraved into my heart. They say Oyasho-sama is not like a god or Buddha who extends a hand of salvation, but a wrathful demon. Their faith in Oyasho-sama bred in their isolated space, and it dominated their behavior for years without fading. and it weighed heavily on the hearts of those who left the village, leaving deep scars. Making our way out of the living room, we headed to the next room over. This room belonged to the victim of the other day, Kazuma Hatakeyama. And it was adorned with a shrine just like the one from the living room. No, it was even larger. So yeah, Hatakeyama did kill. And they did reference him as I was trying to say, but okay. And they learned about Natsumi
あるんですね。
from looking into his death, I guess. A large amount of red blood was spread across the tatami mats, along with traces of the forensic team's investigation. This was the suspect. Masuo stuffed the muzzle of the rifle down his throat and pulled the trigger. The shot came from close range, so the corpse was in terrible condition. Whoops, putting it into words is making me feel dizzy.
ところで、巴警部。
次に行ったら本気で蹴っ飛ばしますよ。
冗談ですよ。彼女は尋問できそうなんですか？
ええ、まあ。
Chief Inspector Manai nodded vaguely in response to Oishi-san's question. By Duro. Oh, okay, we don't even know her. By Duro, he meant the eldest child, the survivor of this incident, Ao Hatakeyama. She received a minor injury on her head at the time of the incident when the suspect struck her with a blunt object.
まだ若いので回復も早そうです。
Bro, what if she ended up being the killer? No, I don't know.
体力
Probably
が
not.
回復した段階で医師立ち会いの下で事情聴取を予定しています。
の割に言い方がらしくありませんね。何か問題でも？
いえ、まだ何とも。家庭の息を出ませんので。
After that evasive answer, Chief Inspector Manai bent down on her knees to examine the sliding door more closely.
現在、彼女は警察病院内の特別病棟で主治医をつけて治療中です。数日中には連絡がもらえるものと思います。
とはいえ、体は無事でも心はそういかないでしょう。そちらの具合は大丈夫なのですか？
わかりません。弟が殺害されたところを見ていたかもしれませんし、ただ事件の詳細を知っているのは彼女一人なので、慎重を期した上で深い内容を聴取したいと思っています。
深い内容？
Oishi-san held his finger to his temple in thought, then turned around and addressed Chief Inspector Manai.
ともいちゃん。勝手ばかりで申し訳ありませんが、その事情聴取、よろしければ我々も参加させていただけませんか？その子の話が何か参考になるかもしれませんので。
それは構いません。ただ、あまり突っ込んだ内容は控えてください。ただでさえ、今回の事件はデリケートな部分が多いものですから。
分かっておりますって。ともえちゃん、私のことを何だと思ってるんです？これでも警官の端くれなんですよ。
I mean, remember when he was, for Mion? He was kind of rough when she was just chilling in the hospital.
そうでした。
Or Shion, whoever.
いい勉強になりましたよ。いろいろな意味で。
そう言ってもらえるとありがたいな。ねえ、赤坂さん。
After thought, like third or fourth time after thought with the forced awkward laughter. Then Chief Inspector Manai glared at Oishi-san with eyes open wide before turning to me. Does she think I'm in the same league? Please cut me a break. This incident began last month in Hinamizawa. In the end of June 1983, near Shishibone City, Hinamizawa Village, volcanic gas suddenly erupted in the middle of the night and enveloped the entire village. As a result of that unprecedented disaster, the entire village was wiped out. An emergency declaration was issued before the cause was fully understood, so all personnel had been strictly prohibited from entering Hinamizawa village, turning it into an isolated island of unreachable land. The shocking news quickly spread across all of Japan, and people began wildly speculating. Within a day, the tragedy had made its way to the mass media. Nowadays, the news is more like an entertainment product, with heavily sensationalized content that seems far from the truth. As time goes on, I wonder if the nature of this tragedy will be lost entirely. The people following the incident for their own amusement would quickly find another subject to pursue on a whim and gradually forget about it. That's the way of this world. Nevertheless, there are many unknown elements in this unprecedented disaster, and Oyashiro-sama's curse is the backbone of it all. In order to investigate this incident, Oishi and I have been searching for people from Hinamizawa and questioning them about their circumstances and what they know about the curse. However, surveying the former villagers turned out to be extremely difficult. Even when an opportunity arose, some misfortune would inevitably befall the families we were speaking to, causing our leads to dry up. And this time, it culminated in the Hatatayama family murder case. If news of this incident reaches the public, it will soon become even harder to get information about this curse from the Hinamizawa natives. And their silence will only add more credibility to the concept of Oyashiro-sama's curse. After finishing our examination in the Japanese-style room, we returned to the living room. Uishi-san wiped the sweat from his forehead and went to open a window next to the kitchen. A refreshing breeze blew in. Although it managed to cast off the lingering heat that had covered this entire house, it did nothing to shake off the lingering stench of the tragedy in this room. Right. The source of the foul air was a deep-seated grudge that was not an easy thing to wash away. Haunted by those thoughts, I decided to breathe a little of the outside air, so I leaned out the window and inhaled a deep breath. After breathing that fresh air, the gears in my mind began to turn again. For the time being, I have to take some pictures of the crime scene so that I'll be able to verify the circumstances later.
車のキーを貸していただけますか？
あ、はい。何か写真でしたら私のをお貸ししますが。
いえ、せっかく持ってきましたから、自分用の資料も用意しておきたいので。
わかりました。どうぞ。
After taking the key from her, I proceeded out of the room. Oh. The moment I turned the knob on the front door, a familiar sensation reverberated through my body. The gentle warmth of the humid air ran down my back, and I opened the door and swallowed as I stepped outside. Oh. Did the consorts do this first? We're gonna see an infected Atasate go all four. As if the silence earlier had been only an illusion, the cicadas all began to cry out at once. Having suddenly been reacquainted with reality, I stopped in my trance for a moment. Although the only thing separating us was a single door, I couldn't hear the cry of the cicadas at all until a moment ago. When I suddenly looked up at Hatakeyama's house, it seemed like it was enshrouded in an ominous, melancholic atmosphere. Though I took pride in being a realist, the word hell ran through my mind. What the? Who dat? I looked back to see the door had violently slammed shut, perhaps due to the wind. I lit my chapped lips as a feeling of dread began to emerge inside of me. Intending to shake off my unease, I rushed to the police car and opened the door to the back seat. When I turned my head, I suddenly noticed that the light on the radio was flashing. I hesitated for a moment, but for the time being, I decided to pick up the receiver and answer.
はい。こちら11号車。
It's Madoka! What the? I heard a cheerful female voice coming in through the radio. She said her name was Madoka, so this must be Officer Madoka Minai, a female police officer in the Transportation Division and the younger sister of Chief Inspector Minai, who is helping us investigate this house today. Oishi-san said she was an acquaintance from long ago, and the circumstances were not very amusing.
あ、どうも。何かありましたか？
お姉ちゃん、未来警部はいますか？花田刑事から至急連絡を取りたいとことづけを頼まれたんですけど。
Another dead?
至急？何か起きたのですか？
詳細は不明ですが、至急とのことです。
わかりました。伝えます。
よろしくです。それでは。
After closing communications, I returned to the Hatatima house and let Chief Inspector Minai know.
花田くんが私に何でしょう。
さあ、そこまでは。
He did say it's urgent.
それにしてもなんで花田さんじゃなくてまどかちゃんが連絡を
Unless shooting shot?
多分用心のためでしょう。
That'd be weird though.
大石さんたちの捜査に協力していることは署のお偉方にも秘密にしていますから。
いやそうじゃなくてな
Yep.
んで花田さんが直接連絡してこないのかなと。
それは
I smell romance. After saying that, Chief Inspector Minai shrugged her shoulders and began to explain it with a hint of sigh in her voice.
今朝ここに出てくるときにミスった部下を怒りすぎてしまいまして。
Oh, never
それ
mind.
でみんな怖がっているのだと。
Maybe I'm wrong then.
失礼な話です。
Unless that's like Madoka's husband. I forgot. She was married to a higher up. I don't know his name. Or engaged, I should say. That's a certified. That's my soundboard, by the way. Have it for streaming. I also have a certified moment. I only have 3 sounds. Here's another one. Sorry. Sorry. Just wanted to show it off. But
笑い事ではありません。
it is fun to press buttons, though. Chief Inspector Minai couldn't help but give us a dirty glare after we suddenly burst out laughing. It certainly can be unnerving having a conversation on the radio where you can't see the other parties face to face. And this woman had a particularly impossible presence. A less gutsy person would naturally avoid it whenever possible.
そもそもうちの署は情けない男が多すぎる。それもこれもトップの署長があんなだからいけないんです。
まあまあそう言わずに昔はよらばきるなんて感じの名うての刑事さんだったんですよ。
とても信じられません。
Rare face?
大体
それにもうすぐともえちゃんの
Yeah, okay, it
ま
was
せんか
it was that guy. LOL. We know she's awkward about that. It's her weak point. After Oishi-san spoke the word she least wanted to hear, Chief Inspector Minai reeled back with a look of disgust on her face. In reality, her younger sister Madoka was currently engaged to Chief Yamokai, the man in charge of Kakuchi Station. I too was shocked to learn of that. Chief Yamokai is an Yamaoki. Yamokai? I don't know. Is an elderly man, old enough to be an experienced father, and Madoka-san is a cute young lady who could easily pass as a student. When they stand side by side, they don't look like lovers, more like a parent and a child.
でも所長さん真剣な交際だって聞きましたよ。何でも近いうちにご両親に彼女を紹介するって言ってましたし。
Does he have parents still?
冗談じゃありません。
That'd be a very awkward meeting if he does have parents and they're just really, really old.
あんなおっさんにお姉さ るくらいなら私は今すぐに出家して一生属世間から離れて暮らします。
It is awkward, for sure.
大体まどかもまどかだ。もともと年上受けが良くて学校の先輩はおろか先生にまで告白されてましたが、まさか結婚相手までそっち系で行くなんて一体何考えてるんだ。
いや、私に言われましても。
I'm just here, man. Don't ask me.
しかもその相手が私の上司だなんて。これって何かの嫌がらせ？それとも仕返し？
Deep level bullying. Marrying your boss to bully your sister.
因果応報で自業自得？っていうか、それを言うなら私が一体何をした？
まあまあ。
そもそも姉の私が未だに独り身だってのに、クソ忙しい中くだらない報告ばっかりしてきやがって。この前なんかこっちが朝方まで残業してた直後にご機嫌で「昨日はカオルさんとデートでフランス料理のフルコースだったよ」って。ああ、そうですか、よかったわね。どうせ私の夜食はコンビニの粉っぽいカレーよ。さらにこの前なんか「ねえ、あの駅前のホテルから見える景色って最高よね」って。
Oh my god. She's popping off.
こっちはブラインド越しに汚いビルだけが見える最悪の景色よ。まだあった。私が仮眠室に向かう途中で会った時なんか
The nap
ロイヤル
room.
スイートって素敵よね。ベッドがふかふかで気持ちいいのよ。だと？ああ、そうですか。よかったわね。こっちはカビ臭い毛布を羽織ってせんべい布団に潜り込んで1時間の小休止よ。
落ち着いてください、見ない警部。
It must be a really sore point for her. Chief Inspector Manai was completely lost her cool and gone into a screaming rampage. It's like there's a childlike recklessness hiding behind her serious demeanor. She's certainly a fun one to tease, though I don't think she'd be happy to hear that, and I do feel a little sorry for her.
とりあえず見ない警部、連絡を取っていただけますか？
お見苦しいところ。
Sometimes you just need to pop off. It's okay. Once I determined she calmed down enough, I reminded her of the message. Still breathing heavily, the chief inspector cleared her throat to hide the redness in her face, then looked up to say, Roger.
それじゃあ連絡してきます。電話ボックスってこの辺にあったかな。
先ほど通り過ぎたテニスコートの脇にあったと思いますが、なんでしたら畠山家の電話をお借りしては。
It's kind of weird.
まだ通じているようですよ。
いえ、やっぱり無線の方が早いです。それじゃあちょっと失礼します。
ああ、私もちょっと換気に。
タバコは社外でお願いしますよ。
He just wants to snoop. After I returned the car keys, Oishi-san and Chief Inspector Manai exited the Hatakeyama residence. Had there been yet another incident in some other town? There have been so many terrible incidents related to the curse in Hinamizawa. The great disaster of unknown origin, the series of mysterious deaths, and now the strange family murder case. The thing we are searching for is buried deep in this darkness, and I can't help but hope that making contact with Chief Inspector Manai will be a fragment that will be the fragment that will unravel the truth no matter how small. I see what you did there.
そうだな。
You sneaky author. While waiting for the two of them to return, I decided to visit the second floor of the Hatakeyama residence. After going up the stairs and turning left, I found the master bedroom. A business suit was casually laying across the double bed. Perhaps the wife Yoshiko got caught up in the incident right after she got home from work. This room was still full of lingering hints of life. The room across the hallway on the other side of the master bedroom belonged to the eldest daughter of the Hatakeyama family, Aoi. Or Aoi. It was a lovely room decorated with licensed merchandise and stuffed toys like an elementary school student's room, Only one peculiar thing in the room stood out. There was a well-organized study desk, and the locked drawer had been forced open. What the heck? There was nothing inside. Did someone take something out? What on earth would do that, and for what purpose? Okay, little mystery. While writing down the questions that sprang to my mind in the investigation notebook, I quickly left the room. Though she was a bit older, being in this young girl's room painfully reminded me of Miyuki. I cleared my throat once more and straightened myself out, then moved toward the last room at the end of the hallway. But the door was difficult to open. This home must have been poorly built. Come on, bro. Oh, what the? So I pushed hard against the door while turning the knob, and it made an unpleasant rattling sound as it finally opened. A dark mass suddenly jumped into my eyes, and it had this disgusting, stinky smell of ink and incense. My legs suddenly halted. Every surface of the room from top to bottom was covered with the word curse. Every corner of the room was covered. Not even a millimeter gap was unfilled. He pimped it out. Pimp out his room. Those words instinctively escaped me upon seeing this tremendous sight. Even when I covered my eyes with my hand, it seemed like the flood of words poured through my eyelids. I timidly opened my eyes to try to look around. The words that covered up the entire room were mostly indecipherable, and the bizarre sheets of paper I saw in the entryway were stretched all around. The windows were covered with a thick black curtain that blocked all external light. Just then, I suddenly had a feeling of being watched, so I quickly looked back. A hanging corpse? In a small alcove, it looked like 4 bodies were hanging by their necks. Those are just paper dolls. Despite my heavy breathing and accelerated heart rate, I managed to pull the penknife from my breast pocket to turn it on. Yep, there we go. Call it every time. Looking more closely, the hanging corpses were actually large paper dolls cut in the shape of humans. All energy drained from my body at once, but soon after inspecting them even closer, another horror made my skin crawl. They all have the names of the family there. Yep, the hanging paper dolls were engraved with the names of the 4 Hatakeyama family members, similar to last arc. As if there were effigies to the 4 of them, not like those used in a prayer, but more like something you'd use to curse someone. I tepidly stepped forward with that thought running through my head, but couldn't think of anything to say. When I shined my light on the area, I noticed the dripping of candlelight scattered across the tatami mats. What on earth happened in this room? My heart ached at the overwhelming force of the light before my eyes. I stopped thinking for a while and stood there stunned. I suddenly began to feel dizzy, so I braced my hand against the nearby pillar. Tap. Something suddenly struck my shoulder from behind, and I spontaneously let out a short yelp. When I turned around, I found Oishi-san looking my way in bewilderment.
いやいや、驚かせてすみません。それにしても凄まじいですな。
ええ、私もあっけに取られていたところなんです。
お社様の怒りを鎮めるための儀式か。それにしてもこれは。
Even for Oishi-san, who was intimately familiar with the history of Hinamizawa and their belief in Oyashiro-sama, it was a sight to behold.
何か切迫した情念のようなものが伝わってくるようですね。
After taking a deep breath to calm my mind, Oishi-san and I began to examine the room while taking pictures. Unfortunately, despite my initial fearful reaction, there were no suspicious clues other than the eerie ritual items.
そういえば、大石さん、花田刑事から未来警部への連絡は何だったんですか？
ねえ、まあ例の件です。詳しい話はともいちゃんから聞いてください。下で現場の写真を撮っていますので。
With only those words, I understood everything. Oishi-san suddenly nodded to me, then headed out of the room and down the stairs. I followed closely behind him. Having finished taking pictures, I could see Chief Inspector Manai in the living room on the first floor, picking up something with her tweezers and carefully placing it in a plastic bag. When she noticed us coming down, she raised the bag to show it to us.
遺留品がまだ残っていました。帰ってから鑑識に回します。
It had a shiny pearl color. It looked like a medicine capsule. The forensic team must have missed it because it had slipped into a blind spot between the cracks of the tatami mats.
何なんでしょうかこれは。
家族の誰かの服用薬でしょうか。畳の縁で盲点になっていたようですね。
よしこ氏のものでしょうか。彼女はどうやら頭痛持ちだったらしいですから。
かもしれません。
Natsumi? Or Natsuhi?
鑑識記録にもこれに関する記述がありましたね。
Chief Inspector Manai handed me the pill and I tried to hold it up to the light from the window. The dull prism-shaped capsule had a strange pattern on the side.
赤坂警視。
I mean, I think it is just medicine, but they're kind of implying like a mountain dodge forcefully made them kill themselves, Angel. Like injecting the whatever the virus thing in them because someone broke the lock or whatever. But I think it could just all be the husband, and it probably is, just from our knowledge. After placing the items in her bag, Chief Inspector Manai turned toward me. Then she turned to Oishi-san standing behind me and nodded before looking back to me and began to speak.
先ほど例の君吉家周辺で捜査を行っていた花田刑事から連絡がありました。
What the?
どうやら祖母の君吉明が数日前から外出していないそうです。
家の中に引きこもっているということです。
それならまだいいんですが。
Okay, so shit's already happening. They already killed grandma.
気になることがあるということで、これからあの家の君吉当時に
What
任意
the?
聴取を行うそうです。戻り次第報告があると。
Upon hearing the Kimiyoshi family name, I was instantly reminded of Natsumi Kimiyoshi's face. What the? An innocent-looking girl that I ran into on a rainy day a few days ago. Could she and her family be getting involved in another tragedy? How long will this chain of misfortune go? And we're gonna flashback. Russell. Slowly looking back to the source of the sound, in the shadow of the shrine, an enormous spider was gently staring down at me. Russell, Russell, Russell. As if to laugh at me, standing there, the spider disappeared back to its nest, where its threads were stretched all around, filling the house with its disturbing sound. Russell, 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 Russell. I guess it's a big-ass spider if it's actually making noise. Something in the palm of my hand released a cold feeling that pulled me back to reality. When I looked down on that something, I gently closed my eyes and searched my memories to remember what it was. Okay. Good intro. Anyways, guys, we wrap that up. I don't know if it's a chapter break or a chapter end. Feeling chapter break. End break, 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 break. End break, break. Never on. 2 weeks. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time on, what's this arc called? Something with a K. Maybe I'll learn it. Maybe I won't, like last arc. Anyways, it was fun to see the trio in action. And I assume we might see, the quads in action. That's me, Chisato, Akira. Oh, what's her name? What's my favorite character's name? I don't even remember. Tama. There you go. How could I forget? But yeah, anyway, see you next time. Hopefully this was good. I really enjoyed it. Peace.